Today on the NerdyGritty, we talk about the Microsoft GameStop partnership and what it could mean for both.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hey guys, welcome back to the NerdyGritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez, and I am proud to announce my exclusive partnership with Fox.
I didn't know this was an exclusive.
Oh, no, it's not you. It's Fox, the production company, movie film company.
Ooh, I'm so sorry then.
It was a bad choice.
Yeah,
I'm regretting that
really
now.
is.
Now they're just 20th Century Studios.
Well, I'm Fox, and I have to announce that I'm closing another 400 stores. So this
was a bad decision.
Great, but, yeah. Hey, this week, really big thing happened. Very important. Very just a lot of good information set out there. Definitely worth watching. The second presidential debate.
Right.
What we're going to talk about today is if we were electing a president of video games, what would be the hot video game debate topics that would get put before the candidates?
Okay, so here's my question to you. Do we mean for the characters in video games or for gamers?
We're talking about in the world, whatever you want. But I came at it from a what's going on in video games that we would want to hear positions on from the president of video games. So I guess outside of video games.
So for gamers.
For gamers.
Yes.
Capital G gamers.
Okay.
With a Z.
I mean, the easy answer here is loot boxes, right?
Oh, yeah, that's one of mine.
Yeah.
One of mine. I'm actually going to be talking about this later in our news section because there was big news coming out from a certain place about loot boxes. But yeah, that's definitely one of them. That's a very easy one, and like an actual political thing.
Yeah, that could go both ways.
Yeah, an actual legislative thing that needs to be talked about. I think for me, one of them, I want to hear a candidate's position on VR and the future of VR.
Okay.
Are we gonna are they gonna support like smaller companies that are working with VR? Are they gonna try to like fund them more? Are they gonna say it's a fun thing, but we're gonna focus on mainstream, typical game development? That I think that's a big thing. I think that's a huge thing in the future.
I had a really big balance between things that are genuinely serious and things that are really goofy and dumb.
Yeah.
Like my first one was the taxation on gamer luxury items, like gamer chairs or gamer beds or things like that. Look, I want my ridiculous luxury items, and I don't want to be
tariffs
taxed
are too high.
But at the same time, like the ERSB, why aren't these people more appreciated? Why aren't they paid more?
Right.
It's mostly a volunteer type thing. Like, thanks ERSB for doing your job.
The other big thing for me is studio standards. Are we going to enact a standard of conduct by development studios regarding crunch, regarding harassment in the workplace, regarding like pay equality and all that, specifically in game? Because it's such a I wouldn't say it's unique compared to everything else, but it's a strange place where this is a product that was almost entirely advertised to young boys when it was young, and therefore it was almost entirely male people that got into the industry, and now it's a whole thing, and that's true for some other things, I would guess.
Yeah,
but I feel like that's a big thing, and just your studio standards, there needs to be some kind of like, here's the line, guys, you need to be better than this.
We're taking this way more seriously than I expected.
Yeah, this feels like a topic.
I know, right?
All right, no, hold on, let me get us a little more goofified.
No, because I want to go on. I want to continue on your thought
whatever.
process. Like the military struggles with the same thing, where in like the 50s and 60s, the military was almost exclusively men.
Sure.
Vietnam and things like that, and so
I mean, it was literally men, exclusively men. Like,
I guess at the time,
it was illegal for women.
It
was just wasn't a
You're
thing.
right. And so now all the higher ups are exclusively men.
Right.
And so all the big decisions are all made. But it's kind of the same with video games, not to the same extreme, but it was.
I consider myself a member of the gaming military.
The Gamer Militia.
Game Army.
Game Militia.
There you go.
Nope.
That's what that is. That's what that means. No, okay,
whoops.
That's a different thing.
That is an entirely
Let's
different thing.
goofify this a little bit. All right, who would be your candidate for the president of video games?
Reggie Fils-Aimé. Without question, Reggie
That's
Fils-Aimé.
immediately where my mind went also.
Yes.
He's great. Let's move on to some news.
Let's move on to the news. Hey, so there, you know how sometimes we talk about dumb people?
Yeah, like Mario.
Right. Like Mario. No.
Yeah.
People who like will hear something and complain about it. So like, you know, people complain about Brie Larson and garbage like that.
Sure.
It's starting to swing the other way too, and it's getting a little frustrating for me.
What are you referring
So,
to?
Gal Gadot has been cast as Cleopatra, and people are kind of freaking out about it, saying that she is not Egyptian, and therefore she should not be cast as Cleopatra.
Sure.
And so I got a really interesting article here from this is
Cleopatra was
NBC.
not Egyptian.
No, she was not. To be very clear, she was not. And all we really know about her, because there's general history, is she's from the Middle East.
Yeah, I know that. I know all I know about her from Assassin's Creed Origins. So
There you go. Yeah. But guess who else is from the Middle East? Gal Gadot.
She's
Yes.
Gal Gadot. Actually.
Gadot. That's
Yes,
true.
She's from Israel.
And it's actually, you know, I don't think you pronounce the T. I think it's Gal Gadot. Like it's a hard
Like a glottal
end.
stop.
Yeah, a glottal stop. Gal Gadot.
Sure.
Anyway,
Well, I'll call her up and ask her how it's pronounced.
I'm wondering at what like where's the middle ground here? Like where do we just stop and say we are happy with casting in movie? Like cuz on one side there are people saying we're being too liberal, cast anybody in any role that we want, blah blah blah. But then, or like they'll complain about Johnny Storm being cast as Michael B. Jordan being cast as Johnny Storm, things like that.
Sure.
But then on the flip side, it's people trying to like emphasize, no, you need to be exactly accurate when they don't know what exactly accurate is.
Sure.
And so,
For me, I think there is a line to be drawn at real person versus fictional person. This is a real historical person. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to maybe accurately reflect who they are if you are attempting to tell an actual true story about them, or at least, you know, depict them in a historically accurate way.
right.
But if it's a fake, not real person, like when we talk about like comic book characters, they change so much. Like it's like people got angry about Nick Fury being played by Samuel L. Jackson when for most of his history he is a white guy. But yes, he was a black man based
in the
on
Ultimate
Nick
Universe.
yeah,
based
in the
on
Ultimate
Samuel L.
Universe.
Jackson.
Yeah. But I mean, that's true for literally every character, though. And also, most of the time, people complain just because their skin color is not the same. But in reality, in the comic books, so if you go with like let's go Michael B. Jordan playing
Right.
Johnny Storm.
Right.
My question, whenever that comes up, is please give me an example of something that character faced, a storyline that they went through, or something that they deal with as a character that could not be experienced by a non-white person. EA has been accused of running an unlicensed, quote, unlicensed illegal gaming system.
Oh,
Because they're EA. No, okay. A pair of Canadians, this is a Kotaku article, a pair of Canadians have filed a class action lawsuit against Electronic Arts alleging that the company's use of loot boxes violates the country's criminal code.
Oh, okay.
The illegal part comes from their belief that loot boxes, which can be bought without knowing what's inside them, constitute gambling, and that EA doesn't have the appropriate license to offer that in Canada. Like, it's pretty, like, this is a very short article.
That's kind of
just got filed this week, basically.
That's kind of what some other countries have said, too.
Yeah.
Similar things.
At this point, as far as major, like, you know, bigger countries, the U.S. is really the only one that hasn't really addressed this in any meaningful way.
Right.
There's, like, the U.K. has addressed it in a big way. Like, so, like, I love how just straightforward it is. How, like, it's just, no, we can't know what's in there, and it costs money, and it you know, might not be worth the money we spent. So that's like the definition of gambling. It's like a slot machine. Like, almost literally, it's like you're putting money in, and you don't know if you're going to make your money back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not buying a product. That's gambling on a product. And I'm really hoping that it's just like, no, this is pretty easy, like straightforward. Like, you're bad.
It sucks because America, we here had the same issue, but what we landed on is you are guaranteed something back, whereas in gambling, you are not guaranteed
something
back.
back.
And so that's when it finally more restrictions were created for it, but at the end of the day, they said it's like a booster pack to them. You know what I mean?
That's the real question. Is that
just because you were still getting something, whether you actually wanted it or not,
right?
You're still getting something.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, you ready to get down to what we've been up to?
Yeah, let's talk about the things we've been doing this week.
I have not been doing much. We're going to be talking about the boys later. But
I only really have one other thing.
Oh, one other thing. I have 3 other things.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll go first.
You start it off.
The new season, they're called volumes, but the new season of Unsolved Mysteries just came out on Netflix.
Yep, you talked about this.
Yeah, so I talked about the first Unsolved Mysteries a while back when it came out, and I loved the show as a kid, and the first season was really good. The second season is less good.
Okay.
It's not bad, but...
Turns out they're actually solved.
Yes, they figured it out.
They didn't really listen to...
But where in the first season, it was genuinely weird stories, and they're like, if you know anything about it, let us know.
Huh.
Like, it's an unsolved mystery.
Okay, yep.
This one
makes sense.
is like, there was a woman. So this season, there was an episode that was like, there was a woman who was checked into a hotel alone, and then somebody heard a gunshot, and they went in, and she was holding the gun in her hand, and she had been shot in the head. How did this happen? And the more they get into it, the more it's like, wait, she committed suicide. That's really sad. It's really not great. But, and those little things like,
I don't get it.
She brought 25 rounds. You don't need 25 rounds to kill yourself. You know?
Sure, but if you just bought a box of bullets.
Right. And then the other thing was, she has no information on who she was. So, all her information was fake.
Okay.
And they weren't able to identify her in any other way. She's a total Jane Doe.
Okay.
That's it.
That doesn't really sound like what's the mystery, though? It's just a Jane Doe.
Who was she, I guess? Suicide. I don't know.
I watched, my wife and I watched Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Okay, what is
Hunt
that?
for the Wilderpeople is one of Taika Waititi's movies before he kind of became internationally known. It's wonderful. It is a wonderful movie about a foster kid who clearly has been shuffled around different homes and gets brought to this one that's kind of out in the bush, they call it, and because he has a tendency to just shoplift and stuff, and they figured, let's bring him out to the middle of nowhere and he won't be able to get in all that trouble. And it's essentially about him getting there, and no spoilers, but things happen. Things get to a point where the movie really is mostly about him and his foster dad, who's played by Sam Neill. He's great in it. Essentially going on the run and surviving in the wilderness together. And it's the classic Taika Waititi, like funny deadpan humor, but there's a lot of heart.
We watched Bumblebee, and that
the Transformers spinoff.
Yeah, it is the best Transformers
That's
movie.
what I've seen. That's what I've heard from people.
That's not saying a lot, though.
Sure. So
it is the best Transformers movie with keeping full in mind of what Transformers is.
That punch in the face was the least painful.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is. What I will give it is that the main character, whom I can't remember the name of, the actor who plays...
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld does a great job. She's a really fun character and very likable in the role. Does a great work. She's also the voice of Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm. There's a rumor that she'll be the Hawkeye replacement.
Oh,
that
yeah.
replaces like that he trains.
Yeah. So there's that. I also really enjoyed the robot fighting in that one. It was much more...
It needs to be... They've always needed to be more grounded and less like the whole world is a big fight now.
Right. Yes. And to me, this was much more of a, okay, these are robots that can transform into other things. What would be their actual, like, martial arts? How would they actually fight each other? And there was a lot of, like, transforming and untransforming and, like, shifting to the best of their like, there's a point in which a guy runs, transforms into a car, ramps off of something, transformed into a helicopter, pivots and starts shooting. And it was pretty cool. And it occurs to you, like,
that was actually Haley Steinfeld that did that.
She did it. It was awesome. No, but yeah, the actual I guess, quote unquote, martial arts of Transformer was pretty cool. The whole intro scene, there's like a 2-minute, 3-minute intro scene of the War of Cybertron. And it was my favorite part of the entire movie. I want there to be a Cybertron movie in which they just take good like action movie.
Remember those Transformers movies where with like the humans and stuff? Get the human part out
Yes.
of it. They're all robots that fight each other.
Nobody gives a crap about Sam Witwicky. And then on top of that, I've been playing Hades. I've been playing not a lot of it. I've played about 6 or 7 hours of Hades, and I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I just got to the end of Elysium. I did not beat not Achilles, dang it. Theseus and the Minotaur are the bosses.
Okay.
Yeah, in Elysium, but I got to them. It's like my 7th run, I think I'm on right now, so feeling pretty good. I feel like I'm doing well in this. It's incredibly good.
It's a great game.
It's an incredibly good game. They've balanced it really well. They give you reasons to use all the weapons in all the different ways. Every time you get back, they grow the story a little bit more. So sometimes when I'm fighting, I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen when I get back.
Right.
And sometimes when I'm back talking to people, I'm like, I'm really eager to go start fighting
play
again.
the game.
And it's just, man, it's balanced really well.
Yeah,
it's
they've
a very
done a
good
really
game.
good job. I got it literally the day it came out because it launched with the Epic Game Store, in early access.
Yeah,
the day it was announced at the Game Awards, and then it was out like that the same day.
but that was like 2018.
That was
right?
2 years ago now,
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago now. So yeah, I got it that day and started playing it, and I haven't put a lot of time. Like by the time I got to like I finished a run, like defeated Hades, and got out. I was like, okay, I got other games to play. I'm good. They hadn't. It was at a point where it's still adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
It was probably 6 or 7 months after I actually got it. But yeah, really great game. The artwork is super cool. The music's really great. All the characters are really fun and have good, like, interesting personalities. And
what has been shocking to me is I have not had a single line of repeated dialogue.
yeah, they're
When you encounter the same characters over and over and over again, and it's new dialogue every single time.
Hades is one of the best like arguments for early access that I've ever seen. Let's talk about The Boys and season 2
I
specifically.
finished it the day after you did,
and then we both
we
forgot
forgot
about
to
it.
talk about it. Yeah, so
it was an interesting season.
yeah, it was.
It definitely went in a not different direction. The main plot was still just straight on continuing what was set up in the first season.
Right.
But as far as kind of the themes of the season, they really went in a different direction with it. And I think overall, pretty well done.
Yeah,
I really appreciated how they handled some of the things like white supremacy and like internet culture.
right.
I thought it was really realistic.
They did a fantastic job with internet culture. That was great to me.
Memes.
Yeah, just the way that she sort of manipulated the general public's
Yes.
opinion with memes and the
Yeah.
internet and whatnot, and how successfully she. Well, by the way, we're going to spoil.
Spoil.
We're
We're going to spoil the whole season.
Yeah, so we haven't spoiled anything yet, but
Yes.
from this point forward, no spoilers for The Boys season 2. But she did a really good job.
Stormfront.
Stormfront, yeah, manipulating
Yes.
her own popularity.
Man, I had a strong suspicion from the very beginning, even like when you're just first introduced to her, that she was going to be a racist, purely because her name is Stormfront, and the Stormfront or Stormfront, I think it's called Stormfront, is a newspaper put out by the KKK.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's the Daily Stormer, and then I think Stormfront is another one, or it's in some way related to the KKK. So I was like, "Ooh, would they do that? That feels like it might make sense."
I liked her at first. Like, she came on as the kind of like the rebel. I'm not gonna deal with your crap.
Yeah,
type
especially
stuff.
with Homelander.
Yes,
it's like, oh, and she's like live streaming. She's like, oh, look, it's Homelander, and just like making fun of him on the internet.
It was really well done, and then they slowly pivot.
They slowly start. Yeah, and they kind of gut punch you a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I like her. Oh, no. Oh, why? Oh, I don't like her anymore. No. That kind of thing. there's a lot of it that's like gonna stick with you, like imagery and just things that happen, some goofy stuff like the whale.
Sure. I will say, as far as gore goes, I feel like they leveled up, or they took it to another
definitely
notch
took
this
it up
season,
another notch,
and unnecessarily so.
Yeah,
for
it didn't
me.
really need it,
and that was unfortunate. I get that's the style of the show.
Yeah,
but
going over the top.
The gore creep is gonna get, like, what's season 3 gonna give?
Everybody's just swimming through blood the entire thing.
Yeah.
No, what's going to stick with me most, and this goes back to the internet thing, is the intro, I think, to episode 7 or 6, where it's actually Neil from Community, but it's showing just kind of how it just shows that daily cycle of constantly taking in news and internet memes and things, where it just causes him to be suspicious of somebody because of their skin color, or because of he has this, like, brief moment where it looks like his eyes are different, and so he literally murders him because he thinks he's a super terrorist, and he's not. And that was really striking because, I mean, it told obviously the story it kind of showed the consequences of the actions of the characters, but that's legitimately the real world.
Yeah.
Like, it's become a thing where white supremacist organizations use the internet like that as a way to indoctrinate young, impressionable boys, mostly, to kind of start parroting their doctrine, their propaganda. And sometimes, not all the time, obviously, the vast majority of the time it does not, but it can actually result in actual actions like that, where it has real life consequences and isn't just the internet echo chamber, And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, it was really well done. I also really enjoyed at the end just a really good moment of not Megara. That's
you're talking about
Maeve.
Queen Maeve.
Yeah, Maeve. The female.
Yeah,
and Kimiko. Maeve,
Kimiko and Starlight
just beating the crap out of Stormfront.
Girls get it done.
Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah, just like, well, yep, that's happening.
All right. Well, we talked about the boys. You ready to get down to the nerdy gritty?
Let's do it.
Hey, before we do that, we just want to let you guys know that if you're hearing this, it means you're listening to an edited down version of the Nerdy Gritty. We take our first chunk in which we talk about what we've been up to, news articles and things like that, and condense that down pretty heavily, sometimes up to like half an hour of things that are cut out. Sometimes entire topics are cut out because we want to make it a little bit more palatable for the average listener, the person coming out looking to plug into a 45-minute podcast. We never ever edit our actual topic for the week, the actual nerdy gritty, what comes after this. That's never edited down. You get the fullness of that. But if you enjoy listening to our full podcast, you can go over to patreon.com/Dez and Fox and become a tier 2 or higher member, and you'll get access to what we call the director's cut of the Nerdy Gritty. It has, like I said, a lot more content, a lot more banter between Fox and I, and just let you know what we've been up to. On top of that, there's a lot of Patreon exclusive content you have access to all the time. Fox has been putting a ton of content up there. I think I'm going to be putting my Hades playthrough that I'm doing on there all in one chunk, and then slowly start releasing it on YouTube, but you guys can binge my Hades playthrough if you want. A lot of good stuff that goes on to Patreon before it even comes to our YouTube channel. If that's not something that you can do, we just appreciate your support in whatever way you tell people about this. Share it with a friend, tell them about a specific topic we talked about, whatever it is. We don't pay for advertising, so your word of mouth is the way that we get our podcast out there. Thanks again for your support, guys, and now let's really get down to the nerdy gritty.
So it was recently announced, and we talked about this, I think, a week or two ago in our news articles about, we talked about Microsoft and GameStop, not GameStop.
The GameStop.
Microsoft and GameStop have partnered up for a multi-year deal, multi-year strategic partnership.
Right.
And that got us really thinking, because GameStop, we talked about a lot, has kind of been dying, and by kind of I mean definitely
not
dying.
Just
for a long
time. They are dying.
They've been on a slowish decline for a while of closing stores and just kind of reevaluating things, it seems. And in our opinion, in our view, Microsoft has also really been changing how they do things, really changing their strategy as far as gaming goes, as far as the Xbox goes.
The way I see Microsoft right now is they are waving the white flag on the console war.
Right.
And they're
right.
saying, we, like Nintendo, are going to do something different.
We're going to carve out our own niche here.
Yeah. And I think they're successfully doing that.
And I think they are very much doing that. And so they've announced this partnership, multi-year strategic partnership. And before we get in, what we want to do today is kind of talk about what that could look like, how that could benefit both, what that could look like for the consumer, for the gaming audience. But before we do that, we should actually just talk about, hey, here's what they've said it means.
Right.
Here's the actual things that they're really intending on doing. And the biggest one is that all of the point of sales and just kind of technology that GameStop will be using in their stores is going to be moved to the Microsoft 365 like software universe, basically.
When we think of gaming and Microsoft, obviously immediately we think about the Xbox and
yes.
Xbox games, but a huge part of what Microsoft does is still the Windows and PCs.
Right.
And
I mean, that's their thing. Microsoft is a computer company that also has a gaming division.
Office 365 is a huge part of it.
Right.
Our department uses Office 365. Our transportation department does.
Yeah.
And they're going to be moving GameStop to exclusively use that. And there's talks of providing Microsoft Surface Pros to all the cashiers, so that instead of being behind a counter, they can just kind of wander through.
What it seems like it's going to be a little more like Apple.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I actually looked up on Reddit and just kind of like somebody posted on Reddit. I think it was on the GameStop Reddit. And a lot of people commenting on it were talking about like, oh, thank the Lord, I don't have to use my computer anymore. Like if I could set my computer on fire at GameStop, I would.
Yes.
Like, they've had a very apparently seem to have an outdated system as far as their point of sales goes.
It's been 15 years since I worked at GameStop, but at that time we had just switched from one like computer program way to a different one, and it went from very, very cumbersome to differently cumbersome. And that was
just
it. Like
a
different way of cumbersome. And if there was a way to streamline all of that, not only would it be easier for the cashiers, but for the customers too. I will say that one of the things that customers get frustrated a lot at GameStop is going in saying, I want to trade these games, because it is a glorified pawn shop. I want to play or trade these games, do these things or whatever else. And being able to just very quickly create that exchange rate for them and get them going and purchasing or whatever else. It'd be real nice for them.
Yeah, I think a general technology update at GameStop has been long overdue. You worked there, you managed one. It's a while ago now, so it's probably maybe different now. Who knows? But as somebody who,
the reality that it might not have changed at all since I worked there.
I do remember seeing a story about them like just a couple of years ago. Like their GameStop moving from they no longer had dial-up internet, and this is like a couple years ago. like they've just been long overdue, which is just embarrassing for a tech-based company, like a tech-based store. Like even if it's not selling internet, it's selling games, you still probably should keep up with the general like technology level of the day if you can. But coming from just a consumer, somebody who for a very long time regularly shopped at GameStop, would go, and I've given GameStop a lot of money. I have officially decided I will no longer ever give them my money based on how they've handled COVID stuff and just some other practices that I don't enjoy. But it always has felt kind of like an outdated thing, and it would be interesting. I wouldn't say it would be better necessarily if they were just like wandering around, because I know about video games, and I've never gone to a GameStop without I'm going to buy this game right now, and I'm not going,
right.
I'm not the one that they're wanting in their store.
No.
Because I know exactly what I want, and I know exactly how much money I'm going to spend, and if it's not that much, then I'm out because I know what it should be. That kind of thing. They want people who, like parents who are like, I don't know what my kid wants, and then they can recommend something expensive or something,
or at least
whatever.
That's what they used to want. I will say that they are having to learn to be different, because now mom and dad are able to buy everything on Amazon.
Yes.
And mom and dad are totally willing to do that because they already have Amazon Prime, and
right. And it's also a good chance that they also know about video games, because moms and dads played video games growing up.
Right.
So,
right. But when I worked there, mom and dad or grandma grandma were huge
Sure.
because
Yeah.
we could tell grandma, who was alive during World War II or maybe even the Great Depression, we could say, you could save some money by buying this game used.
There you go.
And if you buy it used, we can also get you this, like upselling was so easy for grandma, so easy for mom and dad. But when it's, 15-year-old Timmy who doesn't really care, that was the tough part.
Right. The other big thing that they're going to be changing here, or at least providing it, so there's going to be a profit sharing, essentially. Any kind of digital game, if I'm understanding this correctly, I might not be, if any kind of digital game sale that GameStop makes from an Xbox product, GameStop gets a cut of it. So including new games.
Oh, that's a big deal.
That's always been GameStop's thing, is trying to get used games out there because they get 100% of that profit.
Right.
But if it's new, then they get very little. It's like watching a movie at a movie theater at a Regal. They don't really make money off the ticket sales.
Right.
They make money off of other things.
It's
And
exactly
so
like that.
So
I think we made it was like a 4.8% profit on each new game that we sold. Whereas we made sometimes a 100 to 200%, sometimes like a 500% profit on
right. And
used
so
games.
I think so it seems as though there's going to be kind of a profit sharing thing there where any kind of Microsoft product games that you might sell, or maybe systems or something, you will get you get more of a profit from that too. So that's really going to benefit GameStop because they'll just make more money.
Yeah.
And then also, let's see, following decades as an essential provider of the Microsoft Xbox gaming platform and services, GameStop has expanded its Xbox family of product offerings to include the Xbox All Access. So Xbox All Access is the getting a system up front and 24 months of Game Pass without any upfront cost, getting that monthly payment. You'll be able to do that from a GameStop, which I'm not sure if that's the only place, but you'll definitely be able to do it.
Which to me is brilliant more on Microsoft's part.
Yes.
Because without having a physical store to be able to have that human interface
Microsoft
with somebody,
stores have been closing.
Yeah. It'd be really, really difficult to be able to have that monthly payment or to be able to check in with that successfully or whatnot. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the major changes that they've announced. It really is it seems like the biggest thing is we'll sell more of your games or whatever if you if you let us upgrade our sales systems.
Yeah.
Things like that. So what we want to talk about is how else in the future, and obviously they probably have more plans.
Right.
They're probably not just, well, that's it. There's probably something else going to happen here. So what we want to talk about is what could GameStop and Microsoft do that would benefit this partnership and hopefully benefit the consumer. Because at the end of the day, that's what we really would like is how could this benefit us? Because I don't care about the profits either of them make at the end of the day. So
right off the bat, I saw this a little bit like, again, Microsoft is not a sinking ship. It's a changing ship.
It's a changing ship. They're by far not a sinking ship.
Yeah, well, the Xbox.
Maybe Xbox could be.
Specifically the Xbox.
Okay, I see.
I would not say the Xbox is I would have said it was a sinking ship. I don't think it's that anymore. Now I think it's a changing ship. GameStop is most definitely a sinking ship.
Yes.
I think immediately their goal is let's rope these two sinking things together and we'll float now.
Yeah.
Because we have more buoyancy, we'll float now. Because there is huge benefits that both can get out of it. First and foremost, what a lot of gamers don't realize today is how much physical copies still sell.
Yes.
How much walking into a store and buying things is still common, is still a thing that's happening. Right. Now, GameStop is a mostly worldwide thing, but Microsoft is absolutely a worldwide standard.
Right.
And to be able to have Microsoft backing GameStop to get into maybe countries like Brazil or countries like Portugal or Spain,
yeah,
or
wherever
like
GameStop has stores,
wherever, or maybe hasn't yet.
Sure,
these new places, but there's still gaming that's popular because online sales is not going to become an industry standard for a long time.
It's going to be. There's a reason why both of the big consoles still have a physical disc version.
That there is a lot of the world that still really struggles to download things.
There's a lot of America that still has very poor internet, unreliable internet. So until that day when internet is universal and always reliable, physical gaming is still a thing.
So the ability to have Microsoft backing you to get into these places where Microsoft is big because it's a standard, but GameStop isn't quite there yet, I think it will not only help sell more Microsoft things because it's a physical store, but also it's going to help GameStop grow. When they're closing stores, it's an opportunity for them to open stores in new places.
Sure. I see one of the big benefits for both of them here as we talked about or made the comparison to an Apple store a little
Right.
bit, where it's going to kind of change there. I would imagine that GameStop is at some point going to have a whole like visual makeover. All of their branding and all of that is probably going to change just to kind of reflect this big change in their point of sales and all that. I think that would be smart. GameStop has kind of looked the same for a long time.
Yes.
But I think what could help is if GameStop became a place where, like an Apple store, you can bring your broken Xbox and the repair process is sped up. That's still a thing. People send in their broken Xboxes to get fixed, like because the alternative is buying a new one or trying to sell a broken one and just not. Whereas, sure, it might cost you a few bucks. It might, but repairing it is something you can do. You can sell it just like with any hardware, but it takes a while. It takes a good long while. It takes months to send it in and get it back, 6 to 8 weeks. And here, if you could bring it to to a GameStop and then have that streamlined process, like we have a shipment going out, we're bringing stuff to our headquarters anyway, like then I think that would be huge, as well as if GameStop could be a place where you could start buying PC parts.
Oh, interesting.
We know that, like, obviously, the Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, has talked about how Game Pass is basically something they are making a central part of the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that also includes the PC. The Xbox, I think it is a more limited version in slight ways, less games.
Right.
But the Game Pass is still viable on the PC, and they are still trying to push that. And I think because Microsoft is also already a PC company, they could start to just put, various PC parts in their GameStop and make it a little more accessible.
Now, I do know that a lot of... I don't know that Microsoft makes any PC parts, though. I think they're mostly just a software organization.
Well,
not a hardware
but they also
organization.
sell pre-builts.
Yes.
And things like what I'm saying, I think this could benefit Microsoft by having more opportunities to sell, as well as expanding GameStop's stock, their inventory.
Right.
Because their response to in the past decade, I'd say, to more digital gaming, things like that, has been to sell more gaming stuff, action figures, bags, whatever, things that are just branded with gaming stuff. And it probably has worked to a certain extent, but it's really kind of peripheral to what seems to be their core thing is gaming, and using an actual PC to game would be a little more central to what their deal is.
I like this thought because where console gaming has just been getting more and more common throughout the years, more and more homes have a console,
right.
And it's just
PC gaming is kind of the
it's
outlier
kind of
now.
Stagnant.
Yeah.
PC gaming is about as common as it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you grew up PC
You just
gaming,
continually buy
you
the
stayed
next thing.
PC gaming. Yeah. It's not growing like console gaming has been by any means.
Yeah, PC gaming is also more expensive.
Yes, significantly more expensive.
If you want to stay
a lot of times
current.
prohibitively
If you
more
want to stay
expensive.
current,
Yes.
you could, yeah.
But having a place where not only could you buy a pre-built PC, gaming PC, to have somebody talk you through it, but having a place where you could walk in and have somebody say, what kind of games do you play? Oh, that's what you like? This is the kind of graphics card which you're looking at here.
Yeah,
then.
100%.
This is really going to help you with that. Not buy this entire PC, but just, you're gaming for FPSs, then you're going to want the highest processor and the highest graphics card. You're going to want that Twitch gaming stuff. Oh, you're playing a lot more like indie type
playing
things.
a lot of Minecraft? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, well, this could work for you.
Yeah, you can get away here, but you're going to want some storage
You're
space.
talking to
things
the
like
kid
that.
or the person, and also talking to the parents saying, you don't need this expensive one,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
So somebody there to be able to piece it down for you.
Right.
We did that a lot where, a kid would come in or mom and dad would come and be like, I want to get a new system. The PS3, Nintendo Wii, and Xbox are all releasing at the same time.
Right.
What should I get for my kid? And we would say, what kind of games does your kid like? What do they play? Oh, they really they're fun. They're 8 years old and they just like goofing off and have a good time. Get the Wii.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to want. Oh, they're really into the San Andreases and the shootings and the Modern Warfares. Get the Xbox,
Sure.
and things like that. They're into literally anything else. Get the PlayStation. And having somebody to talk people through that makes the object they're buying seem much more easy to buy.
Right, 100%. And I think this can fit in really well to what I think is still we talked about how GameStop needs to change to survive
Yes.
a long while back. That was a whole episode. And I think that's still going to be a big deal, is that GameStop, in order to survive, needs to kind of change how they do things. They can't just be store.
Yes.
They can be store, but we talked about how they should be more similar to like a local game store, where you would go to play Magic or
more
Pokemon
local
or
events
something.
and things like that.
Yeah, and have local events. And I still think that's going to be a huge need, or would be a huge boon at least, for this in the future. And I think that could fit in really well because, hey, once a month we have a PC building day where you can come in and learn how to build a PC, and we'll have one there and you can play around with it and figure it out. And then if you're there, you get 10% off your PC if you buy one that day. Like things like that, where it's like an actual physical, we're learning how to do it. It's fun. It can be because kids want to learn how to do that stuff. It can be even like we're doing coding, like get into like community events that involve the gaming community, as well as, hey, also if you're considering buying a game or PC or an Xbox even or whatever, 10% off. Like just that little sale thing right in there, just to like it's like a seminar for a timeshare.
Yeah.
you trick them into it. But I think the community events thing is still going to be huge. Doing like,
I hope so,
local tournaments of like Halo Infinite when it comes out.
Yeah.
But you can just go like and play together, and whatever, like bring your that's a thing. We know people. You're wearing their shirt right now.
Love Thy Nerd.
They do that.
Satellite Gaming.
Satellite Gaming, yes. They put together local tournaments around Oregon. We've been to one before, and it's like 100 kids came and played games together. The thing they could do at home, but not with 100 other people, and not in a way to show off their skills.
Or on a big screen.
Yeah, on a big
like
screen.
that.
It was probably more than 100. It was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, make your store that, where it's not just a place where they go to buy a game and then leave, where it's a place they want to hang out. And by the very nature of that, you'll probably sell more because that's just where they are, like where they hang out and do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's still going to be huge for this future.
They need to do that.
Microsoft obviously can then just lean it all toward Xbox, like we're doing.
And
Halo
the
tournaments.
leaning toward Xbox, this is the kind of pièce de resistance for me of just what would be brilliant and convenient for the consumer, for everybody in this, is having a place where mom and dad, grandma can come in and say, I want to buy this video game on PC or whatever.
Sure.
And for them to say, you know what, instead of having to deal with this disc or whatever else, if you have Game Pass, right here you can sign into your account on my Microsoft Surface Pro, and we can digitally buy it. I can show you how to install it. I can make sure that all you have to do when you get home is have your kid click install, and then he's playing.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with anything else at all. For mom and dad to be able to come in and say he really, really is interested in this new,
he wants to play Destiny too.
Yeah, or whatever else. To be able just to say, if you have Game Pass, if you already have a Microsoft account, we can get you to do this online right here in store, step-by-step instructions to do this without ever needing to buy a disc.
Yeah.
Or worry about him scratching it or breaking it. And to be able to tell them, number one, you cannot break this disc.
Right. This thing, you won't lose
this
it.
disc. He doesn't have to take care of it. He doesn't have to clean it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I can talk you step by step. I can take you through the scary tech side of it. Because again, mom and dad, grandma, that's what they're scared of.
Sure.
The scary tech side of it.
I don't know if this is the right thing.
But it's, number one, the mom, dad, grandma, they're always going to walk into a game store. Or a Best Buy. They're not going to do a lot of online shopping.
Right.
Mom and dad might more and more these days, but grandma definitely not. But once they walk into that game store, being able to be the person behind the counter that immediately guides them to the Microsoft store. That's beneficial to GameStop to get more people coming into their store saying we can talk you through online purchases. And it's beneficial to Microsoft because now it's GameStop's job to direct them to the Microsoft store. It's this really, really, for their sakes, I hope they do this really, really smart way to be able to say, kind of like a long time ago when, I guess they still do this, you'd walk into a GameStop and say, can I buy this game that just came out? And the first phrase they would say is, did you reserve it? Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get enough stock of it. In the same way, this could be a, hey, do you have this game? We have it on disc, but if you have a Microsoft account, we can just get it downloaded, or we can get it prepared to download on your computer right here, right now.
Or we don't have it on disc. That doesn't matter, though.
Yeah, we can get it right here if you have a Microsoft account.
Right.
And then right there, that guides them to purchase things through Microsoft, gets their organization more money, way easier for mom, dad, and grandma. I think that would be the perfect way to make this beneficial for everyone.
Not only that, but Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
My child says, oh, I walk in and they said they wanted, I'm looking at a list here, Doom Eternal. Can I buy a copy of that? You can, for sure. That'd be a great parent. But it's the most Christian game ever made.
Yeah. Kill all the demons.
You're killing all the demons. My kid wants to play Doom Eternal. Can I buy a copy? Well, sure. Or you could buy 100 games, including Doom Eternal, for $15 a month.
Yeah.
Do you want to pay less and also surprise your child with 100 games instead of one that they like?
Right. And when new games come out, they'll just be there.
They'll get more.
They'll just be there. Yeah.
You won't have to come to GameStop ever again. And then every parent will say, yes, please sign me up right now. I hate this place.
And the ability to have that like monthly payments forever for as long as their kid plays video games, which will probably be forever, is so nice for the parents. But that guarantees,
especially with all access.
But that guarantees what, $180 a year? Is that what it is? Something like that?
If you get all access, it means your kid gets an Xbox this Christmas and also gets all 100 of these games, 150 of these
35
games
times 12
for $25 a month for the smaller version. $25 a month? Yeah, okay, that's fine. I can
that's $300 a year.
And at the end of the day, cheaper than buying it outright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's literally better for everyone.
100%.
And I'm going to be very honest, as a guy who's gone Sony for a long time, if Sony doesn't start changing their demographic, they're going to go the way of GameStop. They're going to go the way of, we were very, very good at this 30 years ago, and we've continued to do exactly this. It's going to go out of style.
It's possible.
It's going to change. Microsoft is already doing that.
To me,
they really are.
I mean, I understand. To me, it's the major thing that sells me is still software.
Yeah.
I want to play the PlayStation exclusives more than the Xbox exclusives. But what I will say is that there is a thing that GameStop now needs to, and Microsoft need to, you have to have Xbox games in stock.
Yes.
You are now backing GameStop.
Yes.
You have a partnership. I better be able to walk into a GameStop and say, I want an Xbox, an Xbox Series X. And they say, yep, here it is. Because the problem of, we didn't get enough in stock is understandable if you are not literally partnered with Microsoft.
Exactly.
Like, if you're just a third party who didn't get enough or didn't get what they wanted or whatever, I get that. But if you are okay, get on your Microsoft tablet and order one for me. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
And including and as well as exclusives and stuff like that.
Keep your store stocked to the gills. Keep your store stocked.
Right,
yep,
which
absolutely.
Could then have the added effect of, we don't have any PlayStations, but we have an Xbox.
Exactly.
And parents might say, well, that works for me.
This can be so beneficial for both stores. It really, really could.
Here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, these things need to happen.
Yes.
Because I don't care what sales system GameStop uses. I've never gone in and said, I love this place. I mean, the games are fine, but your point of sale system really sells it for me. I don't care. Like, if it just stays at, cool, you have tablets instead of, like, computer terminals now, that's nothing. That's not anything. It needs to really evolve into something more. Otherwise, it's just like, cool, you made a different tech shift. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. They need to make changes or it's nothing.
And they need to evolve now. And that's why I think this is more beneficial to GameStop than Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft has been evolving and beneficially so. And GameStop has not been.
Yeah.
And it's why they're sinking. And so Microsoft needs to bring GameStop into 2020, or this is just going to be a big hit for Microsoft as GameStop dies.
Right. To make some money off of this dying corpse.
Well, guys, let us know what you think about the Microsoft GameStop partnership. Let us know what benefits you think could come from it and what negative things could come out of it. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for listening and all of your support. Thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and some of my neighbors do too, off the album Dear Sam. It's a good album. Go check it out.
Hey, go check out our YouTube channel. If you're not watching or listening to this on our YouTube channel.
Right.
Check it out. We've got lots and lots of videos. We've got right now our Spiritfarer playthrough is still going on. My Assassin's Creed Origins playthrough is still going on. We've got in the mornings at 7 a.m. each day, 1 day of my playthrough of Stardew Valley is dropping. And I guess playthrough just means me playing Stardew Valley because it's not one that ends anytime soon. But yeah, so Stardew Valley every Friday. I've got an episode of No Man's Sky coming out. Just checking out the new updates and seeing what's going on in there. We've got a lot of stuff on there and a lot of stuff for the future. I'm working on a few games right now I haven't even revealed to anybody.
Ooh.
So we've got
But
a lot
eventually
of stuff.
Fox will reveal himself to us.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
Oh, no, not now. Ah!
My voice sings all night.